The couch sits empty, the evening is free, and nothing is stopping you from sitting down. Still, your hand reaches for the calendar. Rest has arrived, but it has not yet been authorized. You move tomorrow's appointment, check the weather, calculate the drive, and decide when groceries will happen. Only then does the room feel slightly quieter. The plan did not create more time. It changed how unfinished time felt. From the outside, this can look controlling or joyless. From the inside, it often feels responsible. If you stop scanning too early, something important might remain loose, surprise you later, and prove that relaxing was careless. But the object being built is not always a schedule. Sometimes it is a receipt, proof that the future has been noticed, stored, and assigned somewhere other than your working memory. Keep one blank square at the bottom of the plan. It is the square that never feels finished enough. There is a cost in filling it. Near the end, it will show why a plan can release you and why perfection never can. The usual verdict begins in the wrong place. Needing a plan before rest is not automatically a love of productivity. The plan may be performing emotional work, reducing uncertainty, protecting an intention, or creating permission to stop monitoring. Research on intolerance of uncertainty describes more than simple dislike. It includes actively seeking predictability, and for some people, becoming mentally or behaviorally stuck when certainty is unavailable. Those are tendencies, not diagnoses from a calendar habit. Planning is not the villain. Experiments on unfinished goals found that making specific plans reduced intrusive goal-related thoughts and interference during unrelated tasks. A plan can help the mind stop rehearsing what it fears forgetting. That finding does not mean every detailed plan creates peace. It means a workable plan can close a cognitive process without completing the goal itself. More detail is not automatically more closure. Recovery research adds another piece. Psychological detachment means mentally disengaging from work during non-work time. It is associated with better recovery and well-being. An evening can be physically inactive while the mind remains employed. The first mechanism is prospective memory, remembering to do something later. An unfinished intention has to survive a gap. When there is no trusted cue outside the mind, repeated checking can feel like the safest storage system available. A calendar alert, a note by the door, or one exact next action changes the job. The mind no longer has to keep the entire future active. It only has to trust the cue. The second mechanism is uncertainty itself. A plan turns a field of possible futures into one visible path. Even if the path later changes, choosing it temporarily reduces the possibilities requiring attention now. The word temporarily matters. Healthy planning coordinates action under uncertainty. Rigid planning tries to eliminate uncertainty before action or rest is allowed. One organizes the unknown. The other demands that the unknown disappear. The third mechanism is permission. Some people learned that rest follows completion, not effort. The day may be objectively over, yet the internal rule still asks for evidence that tomorrow has been handled. A list makes invisible obligations countable. Countable things have edges. You can point to them, arrange them, and mark some as finished. Relief may come from the edge, not from the productivity. But the same edge can move. Once the obvious tasks are contained, smaller possibilities become visible. Charge the headphones, check the route, look at the menu. The mind keeps discovering new conditions for safe rest. The bargain quietly changes from make a plan to make sure nothing can surprise me. No calendar can fulfill that contract. The future keeps producing information after planning ends. Now relaxation depends on how complete the plan feels. A forgotten detail means the evening was premature. A changed detail means the plan failed. The tool that once ended monitoring becomes another object to monitor. Repeated checking can resemble a ritual, but resemblance is not a diagnosis. People check for many reasons, and clinical assessment asks far more than whether someone likes plans. The useful question is functional. What happens when the plan cannot be completed? A friend changes the restaurant. Weather moves the trip. Someone says, "Let's decide when we get there." If the body reacts as though the evening lost its floor, the plan may be carrying more than logistics. Other people may experience the planning as inflexibility. The planner experiences their flexibility as unpaid risk. Both can leave the conversation feeling unseen because they are arguing about dinner while protecting different needs. The more exhausted someone becomes, the more urgently recovery is needed. Yet, exhaustion can also make detachment harder. Planning then expands precisely when the mind has the least capacity to decide well. Eventually, even rest acquires performance criteria. The walk must be restorative. The movie must start on time. Sunday must produce enough energy for Monday. Recovery becomes another project with a review meeting. Some planning is really tomorrow being rehearsed tonight. You imagine the drive, the conversation, the possible delay, and your response. Rehearsal can prepare action. Repeating every branch keeps the body inside an event that has not happened. In some homes, the person who anticipated problems was praised as mature. In others, sudden changes carried real costs. Those histories can make preparation feel relationally important. They do not determine the pattern, but they may explain its emotional weight. Planning and worrying can sound similar because both face the future. Planning ends with a usable decision or cue. Worry keeps asking whether another possibility has been missed. One produces a handoff. The other keeps the shift open. A detailed plan can also protect against negotiation. If every hour already has a job, you do not have to decide in front of someone, risk disappointing them, or defend what you actually want from the evening. Long planning sessions create their own fatigue. Then rest begins with less energy, making passive scrolling more likely, and satisfying recovery less accessible. The plan can consume part of the evening it was designed to protect. Leaving part of an evening undecided does not erase judgment, resources, or the ability to respond. It means some decisions will use tomorrow's information. The planner often forgets that the future self is also capable. The answer is not to throw away the calendar. Build a closure plan instead of a certainty plan. Its job is to preserve the next move, not predict the entire future. Use 3 lines. What remains open? What is the next visible action? What cue will bring it back? Report unfinished. Open the data file. Calendar alert at 9. That is enough to store the intention. Then add a 4th line. Planning stops here unless new information arrives. The stop line matters because a plan without an ending can recruit every remaining possibility. Create 2 levels. The essential plan holds times, commitments, and the next action. The optional layer holds preferences that may change. Mixing them makes a restaurant choice feel as serious as a medical appointment. Ask what would make the plan usable rather than complete. A usable trip plan may need departure time, address, and 1 backup. It does not need every meal, feeling, and traffic pattern decided in advance. When uncertain, make the smallest promise that preserves motion. "I will look at the options at 10 is often enough. It protects follow-through without pretending you already possess the information needed for a final choice. Mark which decisions are reversible. A dinner time, workout route, or grocery order can change without threatening the whole week. Reversible choices need coordination, not courtroom certainty. When planning continues, ask what surprise you are trying to prevent. Forgetting? Disappointing someone? Wasting money? Feeling trapped? The right support depends on the feared consequence, not the number of calendar boxes. Give new obligations one trusted landing place. Scattered notes create scattered trust. One capture list does not guarantee completion, but it reduces the need to remember where remembering was stored. Some questions cannot be answered tonight. Give them a parking place with a review time. Check weather Friday at noon is more honest than repeatedly checking a forecast that cannot yet become certain. Leave one low-stakes square open on purpose. Do not choose Saturday's lunch tonight. Notice the predictions that arrive, then let tomorrow supply information. Flexibility grows through tolerable uncertainty, not through speeches about being spontaneous. Choose rest by texture, not outcome. Quiet, movement, company, solitude, absorption. You do not need to prove the activity restored you perfectly. You only need to stop turning recovery into additional work. For shared plans, agree on what happens when details move. If the restaurant changes, we choose from 2 nearby options. A change protocol protects orientation without demanding that everyone freeze the future. Tell trusted people what last-minute changes require from you. Not never change anything, but give me 10 minutes to reorient, or tell me what stays the same. Specific support works better than a character argument. Give planning a physical ending. Close the notebook, dim the desk lamp, wash the cup, and move rooms. The sensory boundary helps the evening become a different context instead of a continuation with softer furniture. Review the plan after the event, not during rest. Ask which detail actually helped and which only reduced discomfort for 5 minutes. Over time, the useful skeleton becomes easier to distinguish from the certainty padding. Do not measure success by whether every thought disappeared. Measure whether the plan allowed a handoff. The task now lives in a queue, a next action, and a time, not in continuous internal rehearsal. If uncertainty, checking, or planning consumes substantial time or sharply restricts daily life, professional support can examine the larger pattern. This video offers a map, not a clinical conclusion. Now return to the blank square. The cost was asking tonight to finish tomorrow. A useful plan leaves it blank because the future is allowed to contribute. A perfect plan cannot leave it blank because the future is treated as a problem that must be finished tonight. Permission to rest does not sound like nothing can go wrong. It sounds simpler. What matters has a next step, and you know how it will return. That is a smaller promise, and one a plan can actually keep. The couch was never asking you to become careless. It was asking whether care could exist without continuous surveillance. Tonight, that may mean one trusted note and one deliberately unfinished square. The goal is not fewer plans at any cost. It is a plan that becomes quiet after doing its job. Coordination should create a door into the evening, not stand in the doorway checking your papers. And once the room becomes quiet, another question appears. If someone asks what you want and your mind goes blank, is there truly no preference? Or did another person's preference arrive first?